Good morning, everybody. It is Carlton and Collingwood week. It just gets me really going inside, I've got to say. No matter where these two are on the ladder, no matter what the circumstances are, we just have to beat these bastards, don't we? My name is Riley Starray, and I had wanted to bring the big dogs in today, but I couldn't get Stephen Kernahan, so I got Dan Williams. How are you, mate?
Well, what a come down. You could have had 6, you got Pom. Yeah, big week, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Cannot stand Collingwood. I'm looking forward to this one. It's. I always get a bit amped for Collingwood, Carlton.
We both do. It's a real authentic sort of a rivalry. Of course, it's been going on for, since the late 1800s. It's gone so long. And as it says down there, square the ledger, we were ahead on the win-loss ledger for 40 years. We've let those bastards take it. It's time to even it on Sunday. They've won their last 5. It's going to be a tough contest, but I feel like if these boys have got it in them, and we'll go into this a little bit more after the events of this week, they're going to be able to get up and provide a smile on so many different Carlton people's face this week.
Oh, I mean, it's lockdown 5, isn't it? So, I mean, it's a chance for the Blues to give us something to smile about. I mean, there's so many subplots, isn't there? I think this is probably the most subplotty rivals game I've ever seen. I mean, we've had the tragic news of Serge Silvani passing. We've got Melbourne back into lockdown. No Cripper. I mean, Carlton Football Club loves a story, doesn't it? And it loves reacting to a story. I mean, it's set up for them to really have a good week this week. It is set up for them. The media department, the article writes itself.
It does. We'll get straight into it, and you mentioned off there, and it's something that I think we should touch off the top because we had an absolute legend of our football club pass away earlier in the week. I know a lot of Carlton fans, especially of that generation, very sobering sort of news because they grew up with Stephen Silvani. It's the most synonymous name to a football club in the AFL. Multiple generations. Obviously, there was Serge, Stephen, and now we've got Jack forging his way, and who knows, maybe Tom. His impact for Carlton, obviously. What have you sort of seen? But obviously, we didn't grow up in that era. But if you could surmise what you've heard from Serge, obviously your granddad, such a massive Carlton man. How did he surmise, and how would you surmise the Sergio Silvani name and his impact on Carlton?
Well, I think he's the grandfather of Carlton, isn't he, really? I mean, yeah. He's the figurehead of almost like a godfather-like type family of AFL football, isn't it? The Silvani family are well known. I know speaking to Pops, he says that he personified what it was to be Carlton. He was tough. He was consistent. He was ready to go. He maximised his talent, always put effort in. And I think that's basically what all the Silvanis are, aren't they? They do get the maximum out of their talent. They bleed Carlton. And it's written in all of them, isn't it? You watch highlights of Serge play. You watch highlights of Steve play. And now we have the privilege of watching Jack play. All 3 of them literally bleed for this club. You see, some things are greater than your skill, and you can see that Serge is the grandfather of the bloodline, isn't he? He really is the bloodline of Carlton. The Silvanis have been part of just about every Carlton dynasty we've had, and hopefully that continues with Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. 239 games for Carlton, 136 goals, 2-time premiership player, played for Victoria, multiple best and fairest. He achieved everything pretty much he could for this club. And I watched a video earlier in the week from that was his tribute before he was made a legend of the Carlton Hall of Fame. And it was John Nichols, who is our greatest ever player. He said, respect is not demanded, it's commanded, and he commanded respect. And that's the ultimate, I think, compliment you can get, really, is that he was able to command respect so quickly, and he was such a good footballer. And his legacy lived on, not just through his sons, but his later service to the club as a selector. He was, standing coach for a few games in the 70s. He was, part of the board. He's synonymous with Carlton. And I was actually reading earlier today, back in 1971, there was doing a sort of debate of the greatest ruck rovers of all time at that stage. And he was only behind Ron Barassi and Kevin Murray. So that is how good he was. Our thoughts are obviously all with everyone who knew him, everyone who loved him, particularly the Silvani family, Stephen, Joe, Jack, Ben, Tom. And I really hope the boys get around Jack tomorrow. It'll be tough, I'm sure. And it sort of leads me into something that I was sort of thinking about when I heard the news and in the last couple of days. And that is the spirit of Carlton. That is what Serge Silvani personified for this football club. He was part of he was the fabric of the club. He was everything you wanted in a Carlton player, a Carlton person. And we talk about it so much these days, culture and, that sort of thing. What is Carlton now? What do we stand for? I mean, you and I talk about it weekly, don't we? And now I think there would be no greater, tribute from Carlton tomorrow. Let's go out and, really represent what Serge was, and let's beat the team, the biggest rival that Carlton has, and show that true spirit of Carlton again. The physicality that, we were synonymous with for so long, being a Carlton player, being uncompromising. And not just as a one-off, consistently. We question so often whether Carlton's, efforts all around the club are uncompromising. It's just a reminder of where we were and where we need to get to, that spirit of Carlton, to be an uncompromising football club, the striving for excellence, the no acceptance of, anything but. It is so important for us to get back to that. And, there was people for a while, we need to get away from old Carlton. We need to, go with the modern times. And yeah, there's element of that, obviously. The game changes and times change, but there's still fundamentals we can, really instill what it is to be a Carlton player, what it is to be a Carlton person. And that's something we really, this week, with those unfortunate events, really emphasised to me what we need to get back to. Have more people be like Serge Silvani, and what he meant to the fan base and what he meant to this club. And, these players and the current people involved with Carlton have a real opportunity to endear themselves like Serge did to the current generation of fans. That's just something that popped in my head this week.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that's probably something that we talk about quite a lot as well, isn't it? Like you say, what do we stand for? Who are we? What is our identity? I think coincidentally we're playing Collingwood, who one thing that Robert Harvey has done is go back to the Collingwood of old. They attack the corridor. They go quickly. That's been the bugbear of Collingwood's fan base for the last couple of years, that they're now a slow, boring side. They've gone back to that 80s, real quick, real attacking and aggressive first to the ball. And I agree with you. Yes, Serge Silvani, definitely one of them players that personifies what it is to be a Blue, was tough to the ball, was all about winning, was all about effort. So, I mean, it's all set up for them, isn't it? It's all set up for them. I mean, these are the type of games that heroes are made. And I've heard like obnoxious comments from opposition fans this week saying the rivalry's not there anymore, right? Because the teams aren't winning flags and stuff. And to me, that's the most ridiculous thing, because rivalries never die. Rivalries never settled in sport. You look at boxers, you look at soccer, you look at AFL. They never die. They merely rest. But when it's when it's a geographical rivalry like this will stay forever. This will outlive me. And this is a huge game. And Serge Silvani, he was the type of player that got up for these games historically. And he's another name. And this is where I ask what you said there, the spirit of Carlton. How do these boys not get up? Because you walk through the halls of Icon Park and it is littered with not just names of Carlton players, names of AFL lineage like Serge Silvani, Nichols. Do you know what I mean? These are names, Diesel, Cooter, players of Fremantle, players of Collingwood even probably grew up idolising. So I'm with you.
It's it is important. Let's talk about the game a bit. Last time we played them round 2 was one of the worst living performances I can remember for a fair while, considering the expectation and the disappointment. You look at it statistically on some levels. I was looking through it again earlier this morning, and it's like, how did it happen like that? Like, you just look at the raw basic data, but defensively, it's interesting. We've juxtaposed ourselves recently. Defensively, we've steeled up to a certain degree. You know, we've got more numbers behind the ball in terms of wingmen's pushing back. But conversely, since then, our attack has started to splinter a bit. It's very interesting setup, and I think there's some opportunities for players tomorrow, especially with Patrick Cripps not playing.
Well, it's stacked against us, let's be honest. Do you know what I mean? They've got the wood on us because they won so easy last time. We've lost our mercurial captain. Do you know what I mean? We've just entered COVID, and according to some fans, COVID only affects Carlton's mindset, no one else's. So it's set up, isn't it? It's set up to be one of them games that's we probably lose, isn't it? The odds are we lose this game. But something interesting you said there, and something that I want everyone to focus on. This is a rivalry game, man. Form doesn't count. You look at any sport where rivals partake in, genuinely form goes out the window. This is something where we have to be ruthless. We have to look deep within ourselves. No cripper. Do you know what I mean? Someone steps up. Hopefully that's someone like Jacob Wheatering or Sam Walsh. But this is the game, man. Like, you fuck finals off here. Fuck last week. Fuck next week. This is about winning, man. This is about winning because this club can't go 40 years having a better win-loss record and then slip it up now and give it up now. This is what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. None of this playing an extra behind the ball malarkey to try and stat pad and make your scores look better. Do you know what I mean? Actually go mano a mano on these guys. Actually play this game because they're going to come out and be positive. You can hear the language of Collingwood that this rivalry means something where it doesn't seem to quite have that same chord. And it breaks my heart when I see people like James Cass, who I respect a lot, saying this rivalry died sometime years ago. Because it hasn't. It hasn't for them, and it hasn't for a lot of us. It's just because we've been indoctrinated to not have the rivalry because it's seen not normal. But this is a rivalry. This is a rivalry. It's a game. It's going to be one of the most watched on TV this week. This game means something. You're talking, if you don't consider this a rivalry, I then consider your place in the Carlton fan community, because this is one of the two oldest clubs in the AFL. This is two historical powerhouses going toe-to-toe. I fucking hate Collingwood, and I've only been here 10 years. That passion drives in my brain. I can't stand them. So just because it's a corporate entity or whatever you think, the crest says something else. And the crest always supersedes what idiots in freaking suits drinking fine wine in the boardroom say. This is about our people versus them people. That is what it is. It's our people versus them people. It's communities versus communities. It's blue versus black and white. And blue has to fucking prevail this weekend.
It absolutely does. And that's even before getting into, the semantics of matchups and anything. It's just so, it is so important. It's so important to the fans. It's so important that we see something, because it's been so underwhelming. And you're right. You touched on it. The circumstances are, are stacked against us in the sense from a lot of people already. Collingwood are playing with a sense of freedom now. We saw that against Richmond last week. We're tense. This review's at the nadir, or it's almost at the end. There's a couple of weeks to go. But you know what? Fuck that. Fuck that. And fuck Collingwood. Because this is Carlton. That matters more than anything. And there are games you got to get up to. I remember Eddie Maguire said it. And, we hang shit a lot on Eddie, but I had the same sort of sentiments as him in this sense. Collingwood's game every year, there was a story about him. He got a player against a wall once. He's like, there's only 2 games you have to win every year. Carlton home and Carlton away. 2 games every year, Carlton has to win. Collingwood home, Collingwood away. No excuses, no bullshit. We have to beat these pricks because fuck them. And on that note, I'm going to bring someone in. Samuel Coulson, he's from Baggers Chat. He's a really good lad. We've decided to bring him in this morning. He's one of the younger fans, but I tell you what, if there's anyone that hates Collingwood, it is this young soldier. Samuel, have you got us, mate?
Yeah, all good. How you going?
Good, mate. Good. It's great to have you on. It's always good to get the younger generation on. I know we talked about this game this week. First off, let's just get it out of the way. As a younger fan, how much do you hate Collingwood?
Well, I think it's hard to top your final, last 30 seconds of what you just said. That's pure hatred just there. But, yeah, I don't like them. It's as simple as that. I was unfortunately at the game earlier on in the year, and it was tough to watch. I don't know. I hate Collingwood. Obviously, the rivalry stems to before, more so before probably any of us are actually born. But there was still some, there was a big brawl back in 2007, I think, with Fev and Didak at quarter time after we were 20 points up, I think, something like that. I was only a young pup then, but I still remember that. And, yeah, I just hate this club, and we need to beat them.
We certainly do. Pommy, you and Sam have it to the fat here a little bit. We've talked about that. Let's go into the tactics a little bit. What has changed in the last 4 weeks from Carlton since the bye? There's been so much talk about what we've been doing from a defensive point of view. It's sort of been pointed out. But what have you seen, Pom, from an analytically? What have we sort of changed, and what's the flow-on effects from that in a positive and negative sense?
Well, I think when you look at the data, all he's done is, I think you see now TDK drops behind contests now. He acts as a stopper. We're starting to take a lot more marks in that hot zone. We seem to be favouring then the wing as well a lot more. We've shifted from the corridor, the shortest part of the ground. You're starting to see a lot more possessions out wide. It feels like, for me, when I look at Teague's game plan the last couple of weeks, it's become a little bit more air of caution, where I think Collingwood, if you look what they've changed, they're going through a very similar pattern that Teague had when he first took over. They're starting to see a rise in quick play-ons. They're starting to see a rise in handballs. They're starting to see a rise in moving the ball quickly. And that's genuinely what happens when an interim coach comes in. Do you know what I mean? He takes the shackles off and he says, go and have fun. So it's interesting because we're at a crossroads now. You see that the pressure stacks up on Teague. You start to get a bit more defensive mindset. You start to kick the ball longer to try and gain territory and free yourself up. It's interesting because it feels like, from an analytical point of view, what you're seeing Carlton do now is stop the 30-point and over losses as opposed to actually progress the game plan to win a game.
Absolutely. And Sam, to you, we've talked privately. You know my thoughts on some of the changes this week. I think I've made that pretty clear to you. What are your thoughts when you saw it filter through last night? Well, Thursday night first, when the squad was announced, and then the changes last night at 5:00.
Yeah, obviously Cripps being out does hurt a bit, but I mean, it's a bloke sore. The bloke's sore. Like any player, when they're injured or sore, they shouldn't be playing. Simple as that. I think Honey should be obviously getting a crack. A few of the younger blokes should be getting a go, especially now later on in the season. I think mathematically we can probably still just play finals. Realistically, probably not. So yeah, I just think we need to make sure we play. If not now, when? Like, if we can get the last 5 or 6 games, 4 or 5 games into these younger blokes, then I think they'll be just set them up with a lot more confidence going into next year. And yeah, it's like a few of the older blokes, like obviously Levi and Murphy and all that. Probably could have a rest, but obviously it makes it a bit tricky too with no VFL this week. Obviously, if you're not playing seniors, you basically got a week off, so that makes it a bit tricky. But yeah.
Well, you mentioned. Sorry, you go on. Sorry, I put you off there.
No, I just hope Fish are coming back. Hope Fisher coming back will, spark us up a little bit. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
I was gonna say that no VFL this week. I was really looking forward to bringing out my Charlie legs. They released the Crip Wings a few weeks ago, so I was looking forward to bringing out the Charlie legs. I'm going to hold off on that for another week, though, until next week, and then we can see the Charlie legs. Sam, I'll start with you, Sam, and then Pom, because I know your opinion on this, Pom. Pom just talked. There's been a little bit more caution in the way we've played. Has the action since, from a fan's perspective, and we could be completely wrong. Has the action since the review's been called and what we've sort of seen in the way it's been coached, the side's been coached and the teams have been selected, it's a direct question. Is David Teague and the collective coaching to almost, for lack of a better term, save themselves? I know that's probably too heavy language, but are they to protect themselves whilst this review is going on? Have you seen actions to suggest that, or not really? We'll start with you, Sam.
Oh, that's a good question. Have we been too cautious because of the review? I'd like to think not. Like, I'd like to think you go out there trying to win every game, whether there's an external review or not. But I don't think so. I'd like to think that, as I said, I'd like to think there's not. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Bobby?
Well, this is a horrible conversation that 24 hours before we play them complete villainous wankers. But yeah, let's go back to Pom's favourite subject, bagging the club. I don't think he's getting to them. I think when a football club, when an institution comes out and uses, we've got the longest run of sides in the AFL that haven't lost by plus 40 as a positive and as a sign that they're improving. I think you've got to read into that and say that sometimes this club is set up to keep that the longest and keep that as something to be proud of. I have never heard a sports club in my life say that something to do with a loss is positive, ever. I didn't even think it's possible. So congratulations, Carlton. 35 years on this planet, you've taught me something new. But I do think there's probably an element to that. I think what that says to me, and when we get to Williams' word, I've got something that might be able to open the horizon of why I think Teague is dropping a man back. But I think he's dropping a man back purely because he hasn't got a Scooby how to stop the ease in which you can enter our 50 from the midfield, which I think is a bad thing, a huge bad thing, because I don't like that as a tactic long term. I think that's not a good tactic long term moving forward. It's the kind of thing you do as a stopgap. You don't have that as a grounding tactic.
Absolutely, I tend to agree with you and I guess there's a sense of improvement. We haven't been belted, but you know what that just reminds me of? When Channel 7 came out with that vision of Brendan Bolton 2 years ago, saying we're 6 in quarters one, when we won one game for the year. So it's one of those sort of empty statements for me. But I guess there's progression. There's progression in the club. Sam, what last 6 weeks? We're not going to talk about finals because we're not going to make it. What do you want to see? I mean, for me personally, and I'm interested in your opinion, I would have loved to see the Ramseys and the Honeys and the Carrolls. Get some AFL experience before season 2022. For me now, outside of beating Collingwood, we got to start preparing for next year. What do you want to see in the last 6 weeks in particular? Anything tactically, players playing a sort of in a different intent? What do you want to see as a younger fan?
Yeah, just seeing us, I guess, take the game on a bit more and sort of take our chances. Obviously, the younger blokes need to get a bit of a crack too, I reckon, especially, as I said before, especially in the latter parts of the season when, obviously, as you said, finals aren't really in the question. If you've got nothing else to play for other than beating Collingwood, I think, just getting the younger blokes in there, getting some real-time senior experience into them, and that'll just prove wonders. Come next year, they're a bit more ready to go, a bit more firing. But I feel like I say that at the end of every year, though. But, just getting these younger blokes, as you said, Honey, Carroll, Ramsey, giving them all a crack, if not now, when, sort of thing. So I just don't think we develop players really well. We're a bit harsher on some players, quicker to drop them. Just to see them get a game would be good.
Yeah, and just before we let you go, mate, I'd love a prediction for tomorrow and your channel's Baggers Chat. Just give us the audience a little bit of a run through for that.
Yeah, easy. So as you said, Baggers Chat. Me and 3 other mates from uni. We're doing a sports media degree, funnily enough. We don't go live though. So this is there's about 2 hours of bloopers and absolute stuff up. So I'm a bit more nervous going live. But no, it's good. So we post twice a week, reviewing the upcoming game, and then obviously a day or two after the game is played. That's usually how long we need to calm down. We release a video just sort of talking about it, and so our next episode will be going up in the next sort of half an hour at about 10 o'clock too. So and my prediction, I did have us by 8 points, but I think that's more out of a bit of hope than what I actually see happening. But any win against Collingwood was a good win. I don't know. Let's just, from last week though, just touching on last week real quick. Like, I know it seems like ages ago now with what's going on in Victoria, but it's 26 points, but they had one extra scoring shot, and of course it's easy to say that they had one extra scoring shot, but they scored 26 points, so they scored 26 points more than us. So you expect them to have more scoring shots. I think it was the timing of our scoring shots. So, but I don't know. They seem to have a new issue every week. So we'll fix our goal kicking up this week, and it'll be something else.
It'll be back to defensive failings. Great,
exactly
mate,
right.
Great to have you on. Make sure everyone in the audience tune into the preview this morning that's going up, and go follow Baggers Chat. It's a young, growing channel. It's always good to see the young fans, develop their own and show their love for the club, because at times, we all know it's been hard to be a Blues supporter. Mate, great having you on. Have a good day.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Cheers, Sam.
See you, mate.
What a legend.
He's a good bloke, Sam.
I'll tell you, he's got a strong jawline on him, hasn't he?
He does. He's got like the bachelor's jawline you'd expect when you see it's like my first rose goes to this. It's a very strong jawline. Okay, you've said to me you've pumped this up like a tire of a 4-wheel drive. So I'm expecting something good from you, Pommy. Williams' word, fire away.
Right, we're going to talk a little bit about tactics in the first part of Williams' word, and then we're going to talk about what really matters, and that's beating the black and white half of this complete, wonderful town we call Melbourne. So what I'm going to share with you is when if Carlton didn't have any lates out, you would be able to see the full report of this, but we have got the scouting report going up when the lovely Terry gets chance. I've left him work, but what I'll do is I'll give you a sneak peek, and over the top of us now is the method to a zone. Can we all see that?
Can see that loud and clear, mate.
Let me make it a bit bigger. There we are. That looks a little bit better. Right, so what this is the zonal system that Carlton play. So if you ever want to see how to beat Carlton, you hear me take the piss all the time, and I say things like you run in and out of our forward 50, our defence goes to chaos. what you'll see here is how Collingwood move the ball versus our weakness in the zonal system. So firstly, when you have the zonal system, it's a little bit like netball. So if you've ever watched netball, you're only allowed to run into certain places. In a zonal system, you guard space, not the man. So you are charged with being in charge of a little bit of the ground. And that is the most common system now. All 17 teams play it, really is the standard. So 17 other teams, that's all 18 teams play a form of the zonal system. If you watch sport now, every ball sport does it. Now, the problem with the zonal system is if you have too many players that intercept in AFL, goes chaos. So this is where they'll exploit. You've got the hot zone there, that red box. Plowman Jones love picking off their man and intercepting. So how teams this year have had success against us is Cameron will act as a decoy. He'll draw Jones towards the ball. That's where Jones will want to go. And then Elliott and De Goey, you'll see, they make a little patterned run where they cross, which will cause Plowman to see two players come into his zone. But then he's also distracted by the ball. So that is where you will find that one out. And if you look against Carlton's concessions, the back right pocket and the back left pocket, we hemorrhage points there. So interesting little factoid. There's a little bit of a stat for you. That is how something that Carlton have got to be aware from. But if you're aware of your weaknesses, you can beat your weaknesses. Remember that. But more importantly, when it comes to system, when it comes to tactics, they're all well and good. We're up against a side that are a complete shit show. We can't lose to Collingwood. And I'm sorry, I don't care what part of the fence you're on, but 1892 was a bad year because some mug got these guys, invented these guys. What an horrible place. 5 people got together and thought, how can we piss the universe off even more? Why don't we wear black and white? I mean, who the hell? No one has black and white anymore. Television freaking's in colour now. Add a bit of fucking variety. These guys are horrible, man. These guys are odious. These are our big rivals. The 2 historical biggest clubs in Melbourne. Doesn't matter about tactics. This should be ingrained. Serge tragically passed this week. Someone that personified what it means. Carlton Football Club, you're going to learn a lot about them this week. You're going to learn a lot about them this week. Because if they put a performance like they did against round 2, where it was a little bit too hard, they couldn't give enough fuck, we're going to learn a lot about them because you don't lose twice to them. They want it. They really want it. They really want it. And this is the week that us as a fan base have to just forget about the last 6 weeks and don't worry about the next 6 weeks because this is rivalry. You've got to do rivalry right. And the one race of people in the world that do rivalry right is Poms because we love fucking hating each other. It's our favourite thing in the world. These guys are wankers. When you're at work and you've got a Collingwood fan, I want you to slap him. Do you know what I mean? Get some hate. I've gone out to war against Swoop Luke. He was a mate of mine. I sit down and have a beer with him. But this week, fucking hate him. Honestly. And I will love it when we beat him. I will love it. Because I am live with him and I will cry tears of happiness when he's crying with his soppy Disney tattoos. Because they're a bunch of pricks. Fire up.
Soppy Disney tattoos, mate. That is outstanding. And that sums up beautifully what I think everyone thinks. I think just to touch on the tactics a little bit before we go into full Collingwood bashing for the next 45 minutes.
Oh, come on. Stop being negative. Stop putting negative thoughts out there.
I'm not putting negative
thoughts. It's perfect football.
This is, yes, I'm just going to say this one thing. We talk about zone defenses. And for me, what, and you might be able to add on to this a little bit more. The key to breaking a zone defense in a lot of ways, forcing that zone to make a choice, which is what you just demonstrated just there. It's going to force Plowman and Stocker to make choices on who to go to and then pick the hole. So we just need to, and this is every week, and this is every zone defense, we need to be strong in our structure. You look at the best zone defenses that we've seen over the years, Hawthorn with, Clarko when he sort of perfected in the late 2000s. The Eagles web was another one I remember very well. So we just, got to be strong, got to be consistent. But now it's time for some more Collingwood bashing because who doesn't like bashing those pricks, the living pulp every single day and every single night? the Prince of Carlton, Vince Lochisano, and Joe from Bangkok.
G'day, boys.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do we hate Collingwood, gentlemen?
1 million.
We don't like those bastards much, do we?
No, we don't.
There's only one good thing that's come out of Collingwood. Do you know that? Johnson Street. Johnson Street takes you out of there.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Johnson Street that takes you into Carlton, funnily enough.
That's what I'm saying. Gets you out of Collingwood and into Carlton.
It actually becomes Elgin Street. So when it becomes Elgin Street, that's okay because that means that you're in Carlton now.
That's right. Oh, I hate Collingwood. Oh.
But there's a place called Switzerland in between, Fitzroy. Fitzroy's like separating the Germans from the Italians, it's Switzerland.
Yes, exactly right. I mean, a couple of people in their time have sort of seen the light going from those fucking assholes to Carlton. Heath Scotland is one. Dale Thomas was another. Mick McGuan a bit more unsuccessfully, let's admit that. But he saw the light at the end of his career. At the end of his career, he saw the light. A bit too late, but he saw it.
I don't think he saw the light at all.
I think he just
saw a bit of superannuation.
Yeah, well,
Peter McKenna even played for us.
Yeah, he did.
Peter McKenna finished his career at Carlton.
Yes, he did. Do you remember what number he wore?
But another superannuation.
Do you remember what number Peter McKenna wore when he came to Carlton?
26, wasn't it?
27.
27. I was close.
Right, so how much are we beating these pricks by tomorrow? I mean, we talk about sort of stuff's against us, and we talk about, it's the odds are against Carlton. Collingwood's playing with a bit of freedom. Their ball movement's a little bit better. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Who gives a fuck about that? Because this is Carlton.
And Joe, I'll let you
That's
go.
all that matters.
Well, after watching Pommy's analysis, and I hope you sent that to David Teague, I'm super confident. 6 goals now. Pommy's worked out our zonal defence.
There's only one problem. Pommy's not the coach. He should be.
Well, once you become president, Vince, you can get him the job, okay?
Yeah, no problems.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I promise my teams would never lose to Essendon or Collingwood.
That's right.
You got the job.
There's only one problem. There's only one problem, boys. I'm not so sure. No, I agree with Pommy. The rivalry doesn't die. It just goes to sleep for a while. But while you're in that dormant state, you've got a bunch of players who don't relate to that rivalry. I don't see that these players treat Collingwood any different to any other team. I really don't. I honestly don't. I didn't see it in round 2. I didn't even see it when Mick Malthouse reached his, record-breaking game as coach. I haven't seen it at all. And maybe one of the reasons for that is because it's been 40 years since the two teams have actually played in a grand final. And it's also 33 years since we've actually played them in any final. So during those last 30-odd years, there haven't been all that many games that have meant that much. Probably the only games that have meant a lot to us because we won was when we spoilt their party in their centenary in 1992 when we played them and they were red-hot favourites and we smashed them. And again, about 25 years later when we beat them in the 125th anniversary of the Collingwood Football Club. We keep spoiling their party beautifully.
Well, funnily enough, that was the last time we actually beat them.
Yeah.
They've won their last.
Isn't
it? It is. I mean, it's really sad that our last victory against Collingwood and one we, remembering how well we played, has that ugly green sponsor career one on there, which is like I'm a bit of a Guernsey nerd, and I feel like sponsors should go relatively with the color scheme of the Guernseys, and there's nothing worse than fucking green on navy blue. That's just a bunch of vomit to me. But that's me
what's
being
the old saying, Riley? Blue and green should never
be seen. Yeah,
exactly right. Exactly right. Joe, what are your thoughts coming into this game when you saw the changes and what's your general vibe all the way from Bangkok?
Well, At first, I thought they're taking the piss on us again, naming Cripps in the team and the side. But now that they've sort of exposed the real side, I was a bit peeved that Josh Honey didn't get a run. But
I'm
I guess
very peeved about that.
I guess his turn will come. If we want to talk about matchups, the good thing for us is that Cameron, what's his name? Moore is out of the team. Darcy Moore, is that his name? Darcy?
Yeah.
So
Moore.
I think if we can get the ball down to Harry quick, I think we should be okay. But again, and with Cripps out today or tomorrow, when's the game? Tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day that people like Dow, Stocker, SPS and Kennedy can really shine in the midfield. I mean, there's no Cripps. We've been relying on him for a few years. So these boys have really got to tomorrow. You got to stand up and be counted. And this will. I think someone was saying earlier. This will show us what we're made of. There's no rivalries anymore. Vince and I were talking about this last night. Once you got rid of all the, Victoria Park and Windy Hill and Optus Oval and
don't call it Optus Oval, Princess Park.
Princess Park, yeah, because you're the Prince of Princess Park. But once you got rid of those tribal sort of grounds, I think it's us old blokes, Vince, that hang on to these sort of memories about.
Speak for yourself, you old bastard. I'm not bloody old yet.
Older.
I've only just got a grey beard and bloody more chins than a Chinese phone book. That's all.
Oh, that's okay then. No, but you know what I'm saying. Us guys that remember when we used to go to Victoria Park and the Collingwood supporters spat at you, and we had to go stand in the outer and the toilets overflowed. I mean, the same happened at Princess Park. If you went to the outer, they had the shit facilities, and I mean, the cold showers in the bloody shower, and Whitten Oval. What was the Whitten Oval was synonymous with it. But look. I think we can win, right? And I'm hearing all this, do it for Serge. Half the guys in the team only know him as Jack's grandfather. That's all they'd know. They wouldn't know how many games he played. They would never have seen him play. I mean, Riley, you've never seen Serge play, maybe in some old videos or something. Same with Pommy. Yeah. So,
most of us haven't seen Serge play. I was only 3 years old when he played his last game.
So now I'm showing my age. I was 8. So I remember the 1970 grand final was my first ever game of football. I was 8 years old. My cousin took me, and he wanted to go home at halftime, and I started to cry. So he said, "All right, we'll stay." And then he was the one crying at the end of the game, going, "Thanks for staying. Thanks for making me stay. Thanks for making me stay." But no, look, I think we can match it with them. Degoe's a bit in and out. Myercheck hasn't he been a good player that's come off a rookie list? I mean, wish we could pick up someone like that. But he's another one. He's either hot or cold. Spewing they haven't got Mason Cox in the team because he would have at least given us 3 or 4 goals with his errors. but no, look, there's no one in that team that scares us. I mean, I think De Conning will match it with Brodie Grundy, who's not having the same sort of years that he's had when he signed his 7-year multi-million-dollar contract. So, forget finals. This is the time when we need to start playing the Josh Honeys and the Carrolls, and like you got Cripper out. Just you got nothing to lose. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Just before we let you gentlemen go, Vince's verdicts for the week. What have you got for us, Vince?
Come on, Vince.
Well, I'd love to be able to say that they will do it for Serge, and I guess the dream result would be Carlton by 1 point because that was the number on his back.
After the siren.
There's nothing better than beating Collingwood by 1 point. But I think there was a missed opportunity this week, especially with Cripps out. And I'd actually predicted that when they announced their squad. I said, I cannot understand why they bothered putting Cripps in there. There's no way he's going to play. And I'd say that he's probably not going to play for the next 2 or 3 weeks at least. He's like a broken down racehorse, and he needs to be given a spell on the paddock. So I think the opportunity was for this coaching panel or selection committee, whoever they are that makes these decisions, to really give our young guys who have been battling away, playing good football in the VFL and deserving of their chance to play senior footy, this was the chance to give them a go, and they failed again. They keep recycling the same names through that team, the Nuneses, the Setterfields, and these types of guys who just are showing us nothing week after week. And I think David Teague has failed. You know, the old saying about if you're going to go halfway across the road, you end up getting run over by a bus. Well, I dare say he's going to get run over by a bus. There was a chance here to play Josh Honey, to play Sam Ramsey, who's also been getting a lot of the ball in the VFL. You know, Jack Carroll's another one who probably deserves a chance. I'd love to see these young guys be given an opportunity. They often surprise you. You know, there have been teams that have lost good players throughout the year and have played some young players and have all of a sudden unearthed some young, fresh talent.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we need. We need an injection of youth and enthusiasm, and that will rub off on the senior guys, not just putting the same 27, 28-year-olds through who have, you know, been there and done that for 10 years just about in the system and have never really excelled. So I just think that, yes, of course, there's a chance that we could win, and if everything goes our way, we might snatch one. But in all honesty, my verdict, sorry, boys, Collingwood by 13 points.
Vince, what's your math out?
I think we all hope he's wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too. I'd love to see.
We all do. Gents, it's been great having you on, Vince, and I think both of you guys, you're still in lockdown, so I hope you.
Yes, we are still in lockdown. Yes. Don't get me started.
Don't start him. Don't start him.
I'm not going to start him. All I was going to say is I hope the lads put a smile on your face tomorrow. We'll speak next week. Have a good day, gents.
Have
all
a good
the best,
day,
boys.
See you guys.
Love you guys.
Prince of Carlton, man. What a man.
Now, Vince doesn't believe.
He doesn't believe. I know that hurts. But I know one person.
It's all right. I hate Collingwood enough for all of us.
Oh, don't worry.
I can get us through this.
We both do. And if there's anyone that, speaking of which, people that hate Collingwood, the next person I'm bringing on, she's honestly one of my favourite Carlton people. She's part of the cheer squad. There's a photo of her from round one as well, which is a bit comparable to a famous video of me a few years ago giving the umpires the bird. She is outstanding and got a lot of time for her. Shannon Gore, welcome.
Look, that's my honest hour, I must say. But fuck Collingwood.
Thank you.
That's better. Everyone wants to talk about analytics and stuff, and I'm telling you now, the analytics aren't fucking good, right?
We've spent so much time on this football club working out who's meant to be in and who's not. Let's just go straight to the point. Fuck Collingwood.
Thank you.
Wait, okay, we have him on, don't we, today as well, don't we? Don't we get the beautiful Swoop Luke on today?
We do. He should be on next.
He dropped a diss track on me yesterday. Did you see it?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he dropped a reply.
Look,
did you know the most heartbreaking thing? That Terry's Batman, and he said, "I'm Robin."
Oh, no.
Do you know how much that's cut me? That has actually hurt me, I've got to say.
They're all talk, yeah? Let them. They had a win last week. Let them talk. That's okay.
Exactly. They're all talk. They are all talk. Now Shannon,
football gents, and we are going to beat them.
We are going to beat them, and it's so good seeing this side of you, because I remember before we started talking regularly about football. I'm like, oh, Shannon, she's lovely, and then I'm saying you're like me in that sense, good people, but certain things just bring out in you where you just love to rub it in people's faces. And this is one of those games. But I've got to ask you, for all of that, how the hell are you married to an Essendon supporter? before we continue, that has to be addressed.
Look, love goes beyond who you follow.
It does.
Good answer.
That is a good diplomatic answer. Favorite Carlton Collingwood memory? I should have asked that straight off.
It has to be Mark Murphy's bird in 2012. The Collingwood cheer squad. That has to be my all-time favourite memory. One, because it's a Murph memory, and two, because it's sticking shit up Collingwood. You ask anybody how much I hate that football club, and I hate them with an absolute passion. With every fibre of my being, I hate the Collingwood Football Club.
It was so good. That bird, I remember. Unfortunately, it's sort of looked at as a false dawn because, and I know Terry's touched on it, it's like we're thinking, yeah, premiership favourites, it's happening, sort of thing. But it's still iconic because it just summed up what everyone thinks of them and their cheer squad and their organisation. And, ooh, yay, we're Collingwood. We help people, blah, blah, blah. We've got a magpie army. Fuck off. Honestly, the magpie army is about as useless as a snowflake in a Saharan summer. Seriously.
Oh my God. Don't make me.
They are just a despicable organisation that tries to say, oh, we're successful. We had a four-peat in 1927 to 1930. Woo! I mean,
they're the most successful football club at losing grand finals.
Oh yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
History don't lie.
History don't lie. But I mean, and they talk, and it's a fair call that yes, Carlton look on past successes, and we bring it up. But like I said, every time I hear about we had the famous four-peat, what when £1 was worth buying a house, like. Seriously, it's a bit irrelevant.
All power to them. All power to them. But seriously, shut up.
All power to now, Pommy. You know a thing about rivalries, and this is why I wanted to get you on the show this morning. You grew up with the Old Firm, which is one of undeniably the biggest rivalries in world sport, Rangers and Celtic. And there's some very powerful things you've talked about that to us as. Viewers and what it means to you and what it means to Scotland as a whole. Maybe just divulge a bit of that and what it's like and how that can sort of translate to this rivalry.
I think, for me personally, sport, I think humans are very tribal people and we like to feel like we belong to something. And I think if you go right from the dawn of human history is literally about rising up and fighting to protect what is yours, whether that's your family, the town you grew up in. Literally, that is history. And I think nowadays, the closest we have to be part of something is your sports club. It's the club that you get to choose. It's probably the first family you get to choose. And for a lot of people, me growing up personally, Rangers was my home. It was the first family that wanted me. And made me feel included and feel bigger than me. So I think that Carlton and Collingwood, this is the two biggest clubs in Melbourne. I think it's a belonging and identity. You see the YouTube videos that me, Sweet Luke, Terry are making, that the support, if one of us slags the other one off, I get their fans in my comments, Terry gets their fans. That's how you keep this rivalry going. It's about being part of something. Shannon might look cute and smiley here, but I've seen her at the game. She's an absolute, she could be the daughter of the devil at a game. And that's what this sport does to you. It brings something out of you. And this is Collingwood. They're our direct rivals. They are in our gates wanting to take over our hometown. And for me, it's something greater than sport. This is about controlling the town. This is about taking back what is ours. And that is the only way you keep this rivalry going. I think the minute we start as a fan base to go, it's just another game, is the minute the AFL dies, because this is the two powerhouses of the AFL. The AFL needs us. If we did a Super League like they did in soccer, everyone would follow Carlton and Collingwood. They'd fuck the AFL off. The AFL needs us. And for me, it's greater than that because, I mean, just look at Collingwood as well. They literally fit into a stereotype, don't they? Like their social media entrepreneur, Swoop Luke, they have literally found a stereotype with teeth.
Look,
that is very true.
In my defense, Pommy, you sat with us in round 2.
I did.
Not the best thing to sit with me because you know my hatred of Collingwood, but I am in fine form when I go to the football. And when my husband found out that we're playing Collingwood this week and we're locked down in Victoria, he's like, "You can't be serious," were his exact words. So
imagine being in that house.
I have to be quiet.
It's like being in any of our houses. It's there's it's a way you got to get up for the games. Really, you got to make it feel like you're there. I mean, invariably, So what? We're 6 and 10 and 5-11. No doubt tomorrow we're going to full kit up. We're going to sit on our couch. We are going to probably have a copious amount of alcohol, either way, win or loss, and we are going to go off our tartars. And that's the way it needs to be, because that's just what not just football, but this rivalry brings into us. Shannon, whilst I've got you on, it would be remiss of me not to ask you about Murph.
Sorry.
Do you have any word on when he could be back? Do you think he's going to get to 300? What are your thoughts?
I was actually talking to Terry about it last night, and we're both in agreement, and we're both thinking that it's probably not going to happen. He needs to play every game for the rest of the year for it to happen. I think he's on 296. I think. Yeah. So he needs to play at least 4 of those games, and he wasn't named this week in any form. So it's not looking likely. As sad as that is, but I'll get there. I've got a few weeks to prepare.
Yeah, we all do. We are, as much as I think with Murph, he's been one of my favourite players to ever play for Carlton. He's just been rock solid, and he's in some ways he's been unfortunate that he's played in a generation where we haven't been good. He's been through so much shit, obviously as captain and that sort of thing. But he's been a champion of our club anyway. I dearly hope that people don't remember him for his last year, and they remember, what he was for so much of his career, because he's been so good for Carlton.
Yeah, the sad thing is our fans are going to look at the negative because that's what they do. And I hope that siren out there was someone picking up a Collingwood supporter for looting on the street.
I think it was. I think it was. What we do have, we were going to bring in Swoop Luke this morning. Unfortunately, he hasn't joined us just yet. So I'm going to bring in the main man. So it's going to be a 4 on zilch, Carlton bashing on Collingwood. He is the founder of this channel. He's got the greatest set of eyebrows, hair, and jawline in the history of YouTube. And he's now putting his hands over his eyes because I've just made him blush. Terry, how are you, mate?
Good morning.
I had such a straight face. I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Blue Abroad Saturdays is known for their introductions. That's what we do.
That is what we do.
So when we bring in royalty, we have to make them feel befitting of said royalty.
Hey, man, if you can't have the piss taken out of yourself, you don't deserve to be on the internet. That's what I say.
Exactly. How
are we doing?
What are your thoughts? I know you did your preview, mate, but for basically the people who live under a rock who missed it, what are your thoughts going into this week?
So I'll be honest. At the start of the week, probably, let's say Sunday night / Monday morning, I was just a little disenchanted because I started having these. I sort of resonated with Bucky's preview where he was saying he almost tapped out, and I started having feelings like, man, what am I? Am I flogging a dead horse here? Like I don't feel like the players are showing as much passion as what the fans are, and that's just how I was feeling. And I was like, maybe it's just not right for me to just keep, flogging this dead horse about trying to manifest something that's just not there, even though we want them to play with passion and whatnot. And I'm not going to lie, I think Pommy dragged me out of the mud Monday night because if you watch the Blue Abroad show on Monday night at the start, I was a little bit, just going through the motions, and then he started getting fired up, and then I've been speaking to the guys who have grown up before me, and really the way I see it is if this generation doesn't carry the torch from the previous generation, we fail. We fail as the fans, and I almost feel like it's a duty to keep the rivalry going, and it would be really piss poor if we only kept this rivalry going when it suited us and when we're good. Like, when we start playing finals, we're going to start talking about the rivalry again. So I think we're in a really interesting point because I feel like we need a game with this group, like a line in the sand game where they show a little bit of passion, a little bit of heart.
Yeah, like I think for me, you touched on something very interesting there, and you'll remember this from last year when we played them last year at the Gabba, and I remember the build up down there, and also the build up here because there was a lot of people that hadn't seen it before, and it was the first time probably since 2013 that there was a genuine game that mattered between these two, like in terms of results. Either way, that's why the build-up was so, and it's why it was such a letdown. That's one of the harsher football memories I have in recent times because this was supposed to be Carlton's coming of age, and this season as well in round 2 was supposed to be Carlton's coming of age. All right, we fucking arrived. We haven't yet, and it's got to come at some point, and it has to come against this mob. I'm sorry, it does. There's got to be a line in the sand. You mentioned it, there has to be a line in the sand. And I feel like it has to start this week because we've talked in the past few weeks, review careers on the line, etc. Even beyond that, to the simplest thing of sport, personal pride. Show some fucking pride in your jumper, in yourselves, and let's beat these pricks.
I want to play you guys a clip. I've put it up here in StreamYard, and this is really to anyone, just to remind them what it actually does mean to the fans. This is the last time we beat Collingwood, and it's the Daisy Thomas goal. And forget about the Daisy Thomas story, but just have a listen to the depths of the cheering in the crowd when he kicks this. Just, if you're watching, just listen very carefully at the specific roar that happens when we've beaten Collingwood.
Right over the top, Charlie Curnow, Daisy Thomas in a panic, dances around. This would be massive for Daisy and for the Blues. Bends it through. Crazy stuff.
Singles.
Don't tell me that you don't want to beat Collingwood more than any other team, because when it fucking happens, you know.
That extra pep in your step.
Yes, absolutely. So people protecting their emotions and whatever, all good. But just remember, like, there's a tradition to carry on from the past. We have a duty. That's how I see it, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Would you protect your would you really go for Carlton if you wanted to protect your emotions? Like, that's a serious question.
I don't think you have a choice. You have to expose yourself to the good and the bad. I mean, look, it's not great now. We're pissed off. We're frustrated. We should be playing well. We should be better than what we are because of the development and all of that. I had to think about it this morning. I went for a walk and I was like, all right, I've sort of centered myself again. And this will go out the window tomorrow when the emotions take over. But I'm like, I always think like, all right, whenever we win the premiership, it's here. So this is all just part of the story to there. Now, I don't know whether it's this group, whether there are more additions to this group, trades, delistings, all of that. I don't know, but it is all just these are all just the layers to whenever the premiership comes. Now, again, whether it's in 3 years, 30 years, 60 years, I don't know, but
fucking hell.
We've just got to stick fat. That's all it is.
Oh, 100%.
60 years, Taz.
I'm ready for anything, bro.
Why are you pointing that out there? Why?
I think we're all ready for anything.
I'll be 90. No, I don't want to wait that long.
I'll be 84, an old codger with 2 stuffed knees and, a massive beer gut with my walker going, Carlton!
That would definitely be you.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know, and as Pom would say, I'd be so excited I'd probably go punch a cat or something, like, like something along those lines.
I've got something. I would like Pom. I started a chant yesterday, and I think Swoop Luke's going to try and clip it. But during the little preview thing that we did, and Heath Bucky's right, they're impossible to warm to because they don't fucking show me enough heart. But
yeah, no, I fully agree.
But Pom, I need you to bring out the "you're just a shit, Dustin Martin, shit, Dustin Martin. You're just a shit, Dustin Martin." I need you to bring it out tomorrow when we play them, and De Goey goes goalless because I feel like Luke wants to use the clip against me.
No, I mean I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I put my heart on the line. I've got a few bets, haven't I, this week? I've got to go on live stream and sing Collingwood's song if Harry doesn't kick more than 4. Then I've got to go and do the fan cam in a Collingwood Guernsey. Just imagine that, right? We lose to Collingwood, right? Imagine how angry I'll be. Imagine how angry I'll be. And then you've got to put me in that black and white monstrosity.
Do not put me after Tommy. If he's wearing a Collingwood jumper, I will actually be in tears on my fan cam. Do not.
Imagine how angry I'll be.
I think like Pommy, if you're going to do a chant, if we go shit Dustin Martin, or should we just say a wish version of Matthew Parker from the Side Football Club? Yeah,
I was just going to keep it simple tomorrow and just go with. What do we think of Collingwood?
Shit!
What do we think of shit?
Collingwood.
Collingwood. A bit more passion, hopefully, in the fan base. But yeah, that's what we got to do. I've got a few things planned for Luke anyway, because I know he didn't make it today. Because obviously, usually, if you've been drinking till late in the evening, I think it was payday for him yesterday. I do believe Centrelink paid him, so he'll probably be a bit hungover now, so condolences to Luke. Luckily, the game is 3:20, so that's 9 a.m. Luke's time. So looking forward to that.
I think we all are. He's a good bloke at heart, Luke, but he goes for a shit football club.
Shit club.
Oh yeah, I know.
Don't be nice to him. We're going to war in 24 hours.
You can be nice to him tomorrow. You can be nice to him on Monday, not now.
Yeah. I'm softening him up so the blow hurts more. So then he has to go on his Swoop review or whatever he does on his channel and just cry. Because that's what we want to see.
Double shackers.
And I've kept this comment up here from Bucky. In terms of the group, and I've said this in the past. I think, and this goes to the Carlton Collingwood rivalry in the sense. We love this club with everything in our heart. That without a doubt, we back them in. But we don't necessarily love all aspects that represent it, if that makes sense. But for tomorrow, if they win, they're going to endear it to us for at least a couple of days.
Mate, we're easy. We're like it's literally it's one quarter or one moment, and we're sucked in. We're not very hard to please. I really don't think we are. I mean, 6 and 10. We're pissed off. Generally now because we're 6 and 10, like we should be pissed off. But I think something as minute as a little push and shove at quarter time, and you bet your bottom dollar we're all back on.
Oh, we're on that Kool-Aid so fast, it's not funny.
Oh well, I'll be guzzling it, and then what I'm looking forward to is when we're 7 and 10, and because Fremantle lost last night, and West Coast will probably lose. You're gonna have someone like me going, I've just got my undies here to eat in a few weeks' time because we're going to make finals at 11 and 11 because that's what we do. We guzzle the Kool-Aid and we get delusional, and it's the yearly experience of Carlton.
I'm on the hate aid.
Breaking news: Dustin Martin is out for the year.
Oh, really?
Is he?
Wow.
Yeah, public knowledge.
That rib injury must have been pretty bad because he got bowled over. But that's okay. He can go.
That's the rumor anyway. That's the rumor.
Oh,
I got excited. The rumor.
Shannon's broken 101 live rule.
Yeah. Yes.
Look. It's a rumor.
We do love rumor files. I mean, we all love the bloomer file. Shout out to Barras_70, whoever you are, who loves to break a bloomer and, you know, varying sort of success at times. But anyway, we'll just leave that there. I can't wait for tomorrow. I mean, it's just, I hope for you guys, honestly, I know it's not easy for everyone locked down, but I hope that we can get up and just at least bring a smile to everyone's face.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, beating Collingwood will be the epitome of my year. So let's just do it. I can get it done.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a great show. So seriously, we're beating them by 457, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think we'll beat them by 12. I don't think this will be a block. I think it'll be a close game. I really do. I think it'll be a close game, and it's gonna sting a little bit more that we're not there. Just like that, at the click of a fingers, we're not there, and whatever. It is what it is. But I think, as I always say, at least we have each other.
Exactly. At least we have each other, and either way, if we win, come on for the celebrations on fan cams. If we lose, come on for the therapy, because at the end of the day, you know, there's at times. As a Carlton family, there are splinters and there are divisions, but we just mentioned that we're a family, and when push comes to shove, we all have to come together because you know there's a common love there, and you know we just need to be connected as a fan base because we're all on this journey together. The 17 before these fucking pricks win another flag.
Also,
that's all
I just want to say one thing. Forget about fan cams, but the watch along. Pommy and
the watch along. That's what I needed to bring up as well. The watch along is going to be fire.
That is must view YouTube.
I will be watching.
Oh, me too. Pommy, what else have you got? What else have you got in store for tomorrow?
I'm upset that I can't hold him because I had this vision, right? And this is how I think the game's going to go. I think Carlton are going to be Carlton. I think they're going to come out. They're going to be haphazard. They're not going to give a shit. Collingwood are going to go out and get a lead, and Swoop Luke's going to have that, you know, stupid grin he has. Yeah, I mean, he'll have his hat on as well because he's at his house and he doesn't turn the heating on to save money. The only guy who wears a woolen hat inside, what a prick. Do you know what I mean? And he'll get up and about, he'll be all happy, you know, drinking his White Lightning. Then second quarter, I've got a feeling that Stocker's going to get involved and lay a hit.
Yes.
And Carlton fire up. Right? And I've got visions of a 30-point comeback in the second half from Carlton. So we can actually watch him live where, you know, the hopes and dreams, which you could argue was year 11 for Swoop Luke, fell out of his life. But the final moments of his hopes and dreams will leave with me next to him. I was hoping to hold him through it so I could stroke his head, say, it's okay, mate. It's okay. Unfortunately, we're going to have to do it just via this, but I am looking forward to beating him because, I mean, come on. Fucking Robin was what he called me yesterday. He got the lyrics in his song, Terry's Batman, You're Just Robin.
I saw that.
Fucking Swoop.
Yeah, well, we'll get the last.
He's talking about throwing hands. I tell you what, if me and Swoop Luke had a fight, there'd be 3 hits. I'd hit him, he'd hit the floor, and the ambulance would hit 80 to carry his sorry ass to hospital. What a melt.
Pommy, I don't know if you could hit him, though, because he's 4'3". You'd probably miss over the top of his head.
I don't know. The Poms don't really play by the rules. We've done some dodgy stuff in the past.
You have.
There's no height requirement to ride this ride.
Oh. It's Shannon, Terry, Pommy, it's been a pleasure. Let's beat these pricks tomorrow. Go the Mighty Blues.
Up the bag.
Let's fucking kill